Danny Flexen here for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined once again by Lou DiBella for DiBella's Digest. Lou, how's your week been?
It's been fine. We're getting closer to election day over here. It's crazy. People are getting sick. I tried to call Eric Botcher to discuss boxing, and he got the COVID. And he's doing okay, thank God. I'm okay. I'm okay. My family's okay. Election is Tuesday. If God willing, I'll be much better on Wednesday.
I'll keep my fingers crossed for you and for the United States as a whole.
Yes, and the world.
And the world, yeah, indeed. We don't need another stable genius or another 4 years of a stable genius.
No, we don't. We don't. None of us do.
I wanted to ask you, we've focused a lot of our content this week on the Usyk Chisora bill, as you can imagine. But there's a relatively big fight. I know you're not overly impressed with it, neither am I, but a relatively big fight happening in the States this weekend also between Gervonta Davis and Leo Santa Cruz. And you've spoken before about why you don't think it's a great headline act for the PBC show. But what do you think Gervonta can prove in this fight? Is there any way he comes out of this looking good rather than looking like he's feasting on a smaller, older man?
If he knocks him out, it's still a feat. I mean, it's still an accomplishment. I mean, make no mistake about it. Leo Santa Cruz has had a great career. He's a terrific fighter, and he's not shot yet. I'm never a fan, Danny, of these guys leaping 2 weight class, 3 weight class kind of fights. And for the most part, the majority of them were like sort of money grabs. Like, what was an example? Oh, Canelo against your boy, Amir Khan. Right. And those kind of fights, just in my mind, they're not attractive to me. If Leo was a naturally bigger man, he outworks Davis in terms of pace and activity. I think he's got more character than Davis. He's got advantages, but he's much smaller and not as powerful. And Gervonta's a great bully in the ring. I mean, he's very, very good against guys that are overmatched physically. By the way, he's very, very good, period. I mean, I'm not, he's a good fighter. He's a very good fighter. I actually think the performance of the pay-per-view is where he could be the biggest winner. If a lot of Mayweather's crazy prognostications aren't going to come true. But if the fight outperforms what most boxing people in the States think it's going to do, then it is the statement that a paid fighter in Gervonta, and it is a statement that he's a bigger attraction than most U.S. fighters. So, so I think it's also the performance of the fight on pay-per-view for Gervonta is important. But I expect him to win. I think a knockout would be impressive. And I expect him to knock him out, actually, because I just think he's too much bigger. But, Leo, if Davis has to die to make the weight and Leo outworks him 2-1, I mean, stranger things have happened. Leo Santa Cruz is not some stooge.
True. But, I mean, a week or so later, we then see a very similar example of kind of a mismatch, in my view, in that Devin Haney's going up against a smaller, older, less fresh opponent in Yuriorkis.
No, it's you're being kind. He's coming off the guy's shoulder was falling off in his last fight, and he's way older. I mean, that's not a competitive fight. I mean, people have heard of Gamboa, and he was selected because people have heard of him. But I don't think there's anyone I know in boxing that knows anything about the sport that gives Gamboa a chance. And I think that's the kind of problem with a lot of the fights we're seeing in the next few weeks and this weekend. I don't mind Davis and Santa Cruz, but do I think people should pay $75 for it? To each his own. I'm not sitting here screaming it's not a pay-per-view. It's a pay-per-view if you want to buy it, but it doesn't appeal to me. I know who's going to win. Chisora and Usyk. Am I staying home in the middle of an afternoon to watch it if I have something else to do, or if there's a good football game on? Am I missing it? Not out of disrespect. I'm a fan of Usyk, and Derek's had a good career. Derek's not winning the fight. He's going to get outboxed. I mean, he's too slow and he's too old. It's a perfect opponent at this point for Usyk, actually. But again, that kind of fight doesn't so much appeal to me because I personally think I know who's going to win. Now, after the fact, if I'm shocked, I'll go back and watch the fight. But it's not something driving me to the TV set.
Sure.
Haney against Gamboa. I mean, you can't scream that you're the real champion and Teofimo's not and fight Gamboa. I mean, I have a guy, Emmanuel Tego, that would have been a much bigger challenge for Devin Haney to assess where he stands in the division. Even though it's not a name. They went for the name, but they went for the easy fight. So, but the problem is the real boxing fan, and the real boxing fans, I think, are the ones that subscribe to DAZN. The real boxing fans, I don't think, are looking at the Gamboa-Haney fight as a competitive fight.
Do you think these fights, the Haney fight and the Gervonta Davis fight, are a reflection on them as competitors or more on the current climate and how hard it is to make tough matches at the moment?
Both. I think that promoters are being ridiculously trying to be cost efficient and cost effective. I think that the pandemic's created a lot of uncertainty. I think when you're asking your A-side fighters to take less money than their contracts or to wait longer than they're supposed to, you're conceding other things like the level of competitiveness. The problem is the way it's going down is not fan friendly. The Teofimo Lopez Lomachenko fights are too few, and the Derevchenko, the Charlo brothers doubleheader, which I enjoyed, and honestly, for my money, I was fine with paying for it because it turned out to be entertaining. But honestly, those are fights that would have been on HBO or Showtime in the past, or they wouldn't have been on pay-per-view. I have no problem with. I like very much the Spence Garcia matchup, but these fights I love here's another one: Campbell and Garcia. Terrific. See, those are the kind of fights we need to make every big show. And honestly, Dana White's a very controversial figure in boxing circles, but you know what? You can't deny the competitiveness that they deliver to their fans, particularly at the top of their shows. Frankly, they deliver that competitiveness throughout their shows. I don't like UFC compared to boxing. I mean, I don't. However, I've grown to appreciate UFC and MMA. I understand it a lot more than I ever did. But I'm a boxing fan. I think we have the far superior product if we do it right. Guess what? We don't do it right. So a lot of people are going to buy Davis and Santa Cruz. I probably are not going to be one of them. I don't know if a lot of people are going to buy, but people are going to buy, and the people that want to buy, that are interested in it, that think I'm underestimating Leo. I think those people should buy it. I support, supporting stuff. And if you want to see something, God bless you. There are a lot of people telling me, I just had someone tell me online that, and by the way, I have the most respect in the world for them, a huge Leo Santa Cruz fan, but he's just too small, but maybe I got it wrong, and if you think I got it wrong, that's fine to buy it. And if you really want to see Gamboa and Haney, you think it's a competitive fight, then you should watch it. And by the way, Haney's a very talented guy, so maybe you want to watch him anyway. Gamboa is no slouch. He's just not gunned to win this fight. So, but honestly, as someone that's been doing this for 30 years, I don't think we grow the sport with Usyk Chisora's. I don't think we grow the sport with Gamboa Haney's. I don't think we grow the sport with Gervonta and Santa Cruz's. It's not to say they're horrible. It's just to say they're not our best product.
And do you think some of the
Danny, the outcome needs to be in doubt in most people's minds. It needs to be a fight it needs to be the kind of fight people want to gamble on and bet on because there are people on both sides who think something could go either way.
Sure.
We could be making those fights every week, every month. We're not, and that's on us. That's on us.
Do you think any of the responsibility falls on the fighters themselves to demand better opposition?
Yeah, but you're also a fighter. You have a limited window, right? And if someone comes to you and says, "Well, we got to pay you minimum because we're in a pandemic," which is true. Well, what's the fighter's leverage? The fighter's leverage is their ability to approve an opponent. And if you're not making the money you want to make, maybe you're insisting on an opponent that you think is lesser risk. So guess what? I'm not really willing to blame the fighter as much as I'm willing to blame other people. But the fighter himself, yeah, there is a degree where you have to consider legacy, and there's a balancing act you have to make between, purely economic considerations and who you fight. But legacy is less important than taking care of your kids and your family and your future,
cool.
Particularly when a fighter's career could end on any given night. So, but we've created a lot more of our own problems by having all these avenues of exclusivity. So it's not only everything else, there are these avenues of exclusivity, and it's weakening the quality of the product and diluting it even greater. And then people don't want to talk about it. They prefer to bullshit people, which is why I get on with you, since most people don't really watch this anyway. But
I'm sure lots of people watch this. Come on.
And I enjoy the conversation. Well, they will. As you keep having more interesting conversations with people, Danny, and I notice you are, more and more people will watch. No, but I'm being facetious. But I don't. At this point in my career, I don't really give a shit about what I say, and if I really believe it, I'm just at that point in my life. So I don't really give a shit. So what I'm speaking is my belief of what is truth.
So you're supposed to wait until you're a certain age to be like that. I wondered why I've always come up against these roadblocks in life, and I think that's it. I've always spoken my mind since I was very young and gotten very little distance because of it. So I should have waited.
I've it's interesting. I have also, at least since I was in high school. No, actually, I always have. But it's been a double-edged sword, but at the same time, I don't think I would have done anything I've accomplished in my life if I hadn't, sort of been me. Now, that being said, if I wasn't me, I probably would have been president of HBO Sports or have an even greater job when I was at HBO. I was never the best corporate politician, and I'm not the best promoter as kind of P.T. Barnum, Don King, Eddie kind of style, because just not a great bullshit being. I don't know. I'm great with a microphone. I can talk to people, but I'm not a great huckster. I sort of, it just is what it is. So, but I don't know. I love boxing. So we've discussed this before, but when I come at it a little bit in terms of being somewhat critical, it's with an it's because I want to see it be what it can be and what it once was.
Lou, as always, it's been insightful. I know you've got a hard deadline, so I'm going to let you go. But I look forward to next week and reflecting on the fights.
Thank you, Danny. And you know what? I can see a scenario where Davis Santa Cruz is close. I could also see Chisora landing a punch or two that might get Usyk's attention. So again, not saying don't watch him. I'm just saying, that I think I know what's going to happen.
Good stuff. All right. Well, that's the caveat. We've got that done. I agree with you. And fingers crossed there, at least competitive fights for the viewers.
All right. Take care, Dan.
And you. Speak soon.